No more an entrance to heaven than it is to hell. No more reason to stay here, getting lost in this sound. No more questions unanswered or fables lied. No more trust in love that's withered and died. Whoa, it's enough, I believe. Whoa, it's enough, I believe. No more begging salvation, no more reasons to cry. When I get left here screaming and aching inside. No more pretending that I am blind, as I'm standing here watching it all before my eyes. Whoa, it's enough, I believe. Whoa, it's enough, I believe. I finally believe and trust that you're not there. I know without question, and I'm no longer scared. No more an entrance to heaven than it is to hell. No more reason to stay here, getting lost in this sound. No more questions unanswered or fables lied. No more trust in love that's withered and died. Whoa, it's enough, I believe. Whoa, it's enough, I believe. Whoa, it's enough, I believe. Whoa, it's enough, I believe.
Heute zu Gast im Guitar Warehouse Studio Nathan Gray mit seiner neuen Live-CD. Nathan, thank you so much that you joined us today. We just heard a song from the latest album, and let's talk about songwriting, because that's always interesting. You played just on an acoustic guitar. How do you write songs?
Well, it sort of depends, you know. It'll either start out with I'm just sitting there sort of messing around with the guitar, or it'll be I'll have a lyric and sort of a tune in my head, and then I'll have to go to the guitar and go, where is that? You know, and so that's where it always starts. It's either I'll be playing something and it'll just sort of, I'll start singing along and it's very natural, or I'll be like stuck in the car and I'll have to record it real quick on my phone and then come back and figure it out on the guitar.
Okay. It's quite interesting that you play on tour actually electric guitar as well.
Yes.
So let's talk about your setup. Songwriting on an acoustic guitar at home, but how do you figure your setup on tour for the tour setup, the gear?
Well, what I do is at home I actually use on that album, actually on that tour, I used a Gretsch hollow body, and it's beautiful guitar. It's also expensive, and it also does not come with its own case. Gretsch has a few guitars that don't actually have a case, and that's one of them. It's an arch top. And so I had this huge, enormous case that I had to use in order to get it anywhere to keep it safe.
Very bulky?
Yeah, very bulky, so I was like, I can't do this. But I love Gretsch. It's my favorite guitar company, honestly. And so I found the Jet, which the clean tones, although not acoustic, have a very good sound to it.
Yes.
It has a good,
Sure, yeah.
you know what I mean? So I got one of the Jets and took the pick guard off because it looked cooler without it. But and that's basically how I did it. Not only that, but as I'm moving forward with this set, there's a lot less talking. It's a lot less acoustic based. And as I'm moving forward with the next album, it's going to have more of a band feel. I'm adding drums in there. I'm doing all this stuff. So it lends more to having a guitar that can do electric and clean instead of just an acoustic sound.
But on this tour, it's just you with a Gretsch?
No,
and?
it's me with a Gretsch, and then Ben is playing guitar. He's sponsored by Gibson, so it has to be Gibson. And he plays an SG, and then Isabel plays a cello, which keeps that acoustic feel to it.
Yes.
But then Ben and I can also bring in different effects to it as well. You know, whether it's chorus or distortion or whatever to fill the sound out a little bit.
Now, listening to this album, it's recorded in a church. Actually, it's in...
There's two different shows.
Two different
One's
shows.
in a church
Yes.
in Wiesbaden, and the other one is literally in a cave in Iserlohn.
Yes.
Which was amazing.
Very roomy, very reverb
Yes.
kind of locations, which really makes a very full sound.
Yes.
But if we talk about the stripped down setup you guys have, it's a very intense atmosphere that one can hear on this album.
Yeah.
What was the inspiration, the spark to go for this kind of instrumentation?
Well, I think that, when I started this whole thing out doing a solo endeavor, and I put out Feral Hymns, the album before this, it was literally just me. And I went into the studio, I was like, I don't really want it to just be me and a guitar. I feel like that's been done. You know what I mean? Especially from like a hardcore punk background. You've got Tim Barry, you've got Chuck Reagan. You've got plenty of people who are sort of doing that. And I didn't want to, number one, copy. I also didn't want to be fake because also at the same time, a lot of times when you do that acoustic thing, it sounds a bit country-ish. Which Chuck Reagan, Tim Barry,
again,
come by it honestly.
Yes.
Me doing country is fake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not country. So I wanted to find my own sound within this, and that also is why I started using more electric type instruments and stuff because I just didn't want to do anything dishonest. I wanted to do it all very honestly and how my sound should sound. So it started there. And Pete from Bouncing Souls recorded the album. And he helped me out a little bit with some background sounds and all this stuff. And I was like, I should really bring that into the set. So the first shows I did was just me and the guitar. When I first came over here, it was me and the archtop. And it sounded great. It was great, but it was just missing something. Because I feel like my sound is a little bigger than that. It's not as folksy,
Yes.
So I was like, well, how do I do that? I was like, well, I really love the cello sounds that I have on there.
Yes.
And if I could just have one other guitarist that maybe could use effects to his advantage, then I'd be set. So I brought in Ben and Isabel in order to acquire that sound that you'll hear on Feral Hymns and now on there, on that live album.
Interesting. So there's what would you say would be your influence when it comes to artists?
I would say that my influence is more in a...
You just talked about your punk rock background.
Yeah. And I would say that I would more tend towards a... Well, some of the bands that I really appreciate from that style that sort of came from a punk rock background into a more dynamic, I guess, rock feel. The Weaker Thens are one, and Pedro the Lion, David Bazan is love his stuff, and I think that a lot of that influenced me maybe more than some of the, punk gone country type of stuff, So and then on top of that, just trying to find my own sound and finding sort of a darker like feel to it. And finding that there was a lot of where some people find a depressive feel, finding hope within that.
I was just gonna say.
Yeah, like finding like sort of a really dark and depressive sound, but at the same time acknowledging that the reason you're putting that out is to get it out.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's not to celebrate. It's not to celebrate darkness or depression. It's to literally absolve yourself of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the beauty of writing this type of music is. Like, it's always very sad and very melancholic and whatnot, but it's the purpose behind it is more important. And that is to cleanse
Yes.
those feelings.
Yes.
And I think that that is my main mission with this music, is to find other people that find cleansing within that come to my show and they find a safe space to be.
Yeah.
To be able to let out those emotions, to be able to just cry and feel and like, you know, without having to feel like they're being judged or watched, you know? Like, we're all in this together. We're all here to pour out our hearts and to be serious, because the world has become so ironic. You know, everything's like, whatever, you know, type. And I feel like people are missing that sincerity.
Yes.
And that ability to just be real.
And being honest about
And be honest and just
lyrics and sound.
Yeah, and let loose, instead of always having to be sort of guarded and like, and when things get too emotional, having to joke to like deflect it, you know? Instead, let's let it out. And I also create moments of what I'd call reprieve in these shows, where I have a little laugh, you know, we do some fun stuff as well. And you'll probably hear it on there, like in Quixote, Ben and I have like a little joke where we'll see, there's a part where it holds out and we'll see who can hold it out the longest, you know what I mean? And because I think in that, in order to show that
Yes.
you're trying to move forward, you have to give those moments a reprieve. You can't just let everybody sit there and go, ugh, you know? So trying to build that atmosphere is very important to me, and it's very important to the music and moving forward.
And not letting people, you know, feeling being alone or
Yeah, exactly.
left
And
alone.
it's very important that people need a place to go where they don't feel alone, where they feel like they can just be who they are, and they can speak, even if they don't say it out loud, but they can just be in the pain and the suffering that they've dealt with in order to absolve it, in order to focus on it and I guess confront it.
Yes.
Because you're never going to be able to if you don't get in a setting like that. And it doesn't have to be at one of my shows, but I would love my shows to be that cathartic moment for people to confront deep, painful moments in order to get rid of them.
Yes.
And heal.
And that is actually the moment where we could, and before we go into another song of you, which is actually called Alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'd like to know a rather technical thing about your guitar playing.
Mm-hmm.
I figured that you tend to tune down
Yes. Mm-hmm.
on drop D.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So the next song we will hear of you will be actually in drop D, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And it's called Alone.
It's called Alone.
Up
And
until
I tuned down to drop D to make power chords easier.
Yeah. That's
I can't find a way to sleep, so I guess I'll just surrender and let this town have its way. If I just took time to breathe, I could hear old Hank a warning not to go down this way. Bars are broken wide, and your friends, they lie waiting. On this I've learned I can rely. They are plotting as they dance, hiding fraud within their smiles. Kiss and hug with knives in hand, spitting lies just to find there's a reason why we're never satisfied. From the long walk home to the reasons why we go to bed alone. Hey, this whiskey must be broken, 'cause it ain't hardly working to erase her from my mind. Get on up and stumble home as the vultures plot behind you to pick the meat right from your bones, spitting lies just to find there's a reason why we're never satisfied. From the long walk home to the reasons why we go to bed alone. Oh God, my soul, my life, please don't let us see I'm falling apart. The street lights burn so bright, and all the way home they remind me of the night she stole my heart. Spitting lies just to find